Welcome to a brand new show, Grizzled and Weird. I'm Mike.
I'm Kirsten.
I'm skeptical.
And that is what the show is about. We are here presenting all the weird stuff, ghosts, aliens, everything possibly. We're going to present the arguments here, and Doug, the eternal skeptic, we're going to try and convince him that it might be at least plausible.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that me and Kirsten believe in all this stuff exactly, but we're more open to it than Doug. So
it's cool, and it's weird.
And it's weird, exactly. So we're going to start exploring it. And episode 1 is going to be based on the Mandela Effect. Now, this is something that's gained prominence in the last few years, and much like any strange topic, it goes off the rails. You know, it goes everything from that's kind of weird and slightly probable to okay, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And conspiracy theory. So we're going to dive right into it with some of the craziest stuff, right? And then we're going to work our way back towards the more plausible stuff. All right, the Mandela Effect. What is the Mandela Effect? In case some of you out there don't know, it's named after the South African statesman and civil rights activist Nelson Mandela, and who died in 2013. And people around the world reported that they remembered his death decades earlier, right? Somewhere in the 1980s. And so it actually, Mandela Effect was first named before that, but that was when it got widespread and when a lot of people remembered when he announced that he was dead, and then all people were, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then they found each other, and then that's how it got started. It was, like I said, that was 2013 is when the phenomenon took off, but the term was first used in 2009 by Fiona Broom, who was confused after learning Mandela was still alive, and she wrote about her memories on her website, which is now the official Mandela Effects page.
Interesting.
Okay. But yeah, she was the first one to record,
It's like, wait a minute, I remember
this differently. Yeah,
Right.
what's going on? And then after he was announced, his death was announced, a ton of people came out and remembered it. Now, the weird part about this is not so much that a lot of people misremembered that Mandela died, or hadn't died, or misremembered that he died earlier in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the level of detail that all of them misremembered, the exact same kind of details.
Right.
Like he died in prison in the 80s.
Exact same details, or generally the same details?
Well, that's just it. Some of them are pretty general, but some of them are pretty exact. Like, for instance, the same footage being on U.S., American, Canadian, and British TV, right?
Okay.
So 3 different different countries' news outlets, and the same details being remembered in the news. So I mean, it's enough to actually, if you dive into it, to raise an eyebrow about it.
Yeah.
The CNN footage, the funeral procession, the Oprah show special. That's another one that a lot of the details are. Some of them are pretty broad, right? You can remember a funeral procession, stuff like that, but the Oprah show special had a lot of the details that everyone remembered.
Well, even in the funeral procession, people talked about like the rose petals or something like that, right?
Yeah, there was the flower arrangements.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is a lot of people wrote on different blogs before they came together for this one website to share information. So a lot of it is the same information written on separate blogs before they were all together, right? So it's not a matter of someone writing down how they remembered it and people reading it and going, okay, that's putting that thought in their head.
Right.
This is why I got a lot of it. Bill Cosby naming his TV grandchildren Winnie and Nelson after Nelson Mandela and his wife on the show in honor of him after he died in the 80s. That apparently, he did that. That's a fact in the show, but
But that wasn't why.
But it wasn't why.
I mean, it was to honor him, but not for his death.
But not for his death, right?
Just in general.
But yeah, so that is what the Mandela Effect is, and so a lot of people have noticed remember things differently than how they are. They're starting to realize there's a lot of stuff where they thought was one way, and then in reality it's a different way. So, what's causing all this memory? The false memories. What is it? Well, there's all kinds of theories out there. We're going to dive right into the craziest one of them. I mean, anywhere from parallel universes to time travel, coming back and someone come back in time and mess up the timeline.
Right.
All of Back to the Future style, and then simulation theory, with glitches in the Matrix, where which is
we're all in the Matrix.
We're all in the Matrix, which they have so there's some proof that that's exists. We could possibly be in a simulation. If that's the case, then of course, stuff like that could happen. It's really weird. And I mean, a lot of this stuff you're like, okay, you want to throw this out. But after we discovered the quantum world and the way particles act in the subatomic level, I don't know how really you can really claim and know for sure anything about reality. But so you've heard about this Mandela Effect before, right?
Yeah.
So okay,
we've talked about it in general.
Yeah.
that's true.
So
We of course I'm not bug Doug about this kind of stuff.
Mike loves to waste his time on this stuff.
Exactly, I do. This is great. You can go down a rabbit hole, clicking through internet links and reading all kinds of crazy stuff. All right, so let's dive into the main crazy conspiracy theory. It revolves around CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. This is where the Big Hadron Collider, smashing particles together. This is where the whole subatomic particle stuff.
Oh, I get so excited listening to theories.
There's a lot of crazy stuff. We'll get into a whole episode about that on its own. But yeah, this is some crazy stuff. So some people believe that CERN is opening rifts and causing timelines to collapse on each other, and which is why we're getting alternate memories. So some of us remember stuff from a timeline that doesn't exist anymore, and now we're in this timeline. So that's what they're thinking. Now, from the CERN website, there is a quote here. This is directly from CERN itself. Another way of revealing extra dimensions would be through the production microscopic black holes. What exactly we would detect would depend on a number of extra dimensions, the mass of the black hole, the size of the dimension, and the energy at which the black hole occurs. If micro black holes do appear in the collisions created by the Large Hadron Collider, they would disintegrate rapidly. They would decay into standard model or supersymmetrical particles, creating events. Now, very broad, but there's a lot to read into that, especially if you're conspiracy-minded.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute. But not just this. There's a lot of CERN scientists that say a lot of crazy stuff, right? Like if you start talking to them about them, like they had one talking about quantum computing, which, it was like a TED Talk that went way off the rails about pulling information from other dimensions and stuff like that, And this is a concerned scientist, right, talking about this stuff. Right. So, I mean, I remember I used to be big in watching TED Talks. So I watch this one, I'm like, what did that guy just say?
Well, I mean, when you get down to quantum theory and quantum mechanics, you have to kind of believe in some crazy stuff because we don't quite understand how it works.
Right, exactly. You're like,
You have to believe.
Well,
I mean, to a degree, obviously.
To a degree,
you
right,
can't you can't just say, well, because quantum mechanics, the sky is actually green. But you have to have a more open mind because it's something that we don't understand. We're trying to figure out how it works, and it seems to change every time we look at it. So
right. Yeah. Now, I'm no scientist, but if they're creating microscopic black holes with colliding particles together, even if they only last for a very fraction of a millisecond or whatever,
right, that's
got to be causing some kind of disruption to, I don't know, I want to say reality, but our world,
maybe
something.
I mean, the thing about black holes that most people don't understand is they have no more gravitational pull than the object that created them. So they're not going to
suck the Earth into
they're not going to suck the Earth into
through a keyhole.
Yeah,
right.
that's just not going to happen because the gravity isn't that much more intense than the particles that were used to create it.
Right.
Right.
Now, on a microscopic level, I don't know how that's different than a regular black hole, but
we might be losing some kind of matter through.
Yeah, if they actually make Einstein-Rosen bridges, we could be sending matter to someplace else in the universe.
Right. Or from what they're saying, sometimes coming back through.
Yeah.
This crazy stuff. Not probably enough to destroy timelines and merge timelines.
Right.
Probably not.
And again, none of that stuff's been proved. Maybe nothing happens with a black hole.
Right.
True.
You have no idea.
They basically, reading up on this in CERN, they can basically, through math and observation, they can prove that they're making them, but they can't really observe them because the fraction of a millisecond that they last.
Right.
There's no, other than mathematical measurements, there's no way of tell that that's what they're doing. All right, so let's jump into the crazy.
Okay. If that wasn't crazy enough.
If that wasn't crazy enough, that's all kind of plausible. Maybe not the merging of dimensions, but the stuff going on at CERN. Now, let's throw in, a satanic conspiracy into the mix. So there are some who believe the whole purpose of CERN is to open a hole into another dimension, and some even say the dimension they're trying to open is to hell. All right.
You're not doing a good job of making your case. You convinced me that-
Well, we're jumping over the deep end first. We'll get that out of the way. So the CERN logo, they say there's 666 in the CERN logo. We'll pull that up here for you. That is the official CERN logo.
Yeah, I guess if you turn them backwards.
Yeah, kind of in a circle. It's supposed to represent the Large Hadron Collider. However, it doesn't look like that.
Or QQQ.
It could be. It's true. It's QQQ. Doug solved it right there. It's not satanic conspiracy quash right there.
You can see whatever you want to see in this, is what I'm saying.
Right, but there are definitely 3 6s if you look.
Right.
Now, whether or not that's... Yeah. They get in deep in some of these, the way they're turned, you know, everything else. You can go down a rabbit hole on just the logo itself, right? But that is evidence 1 to the satanic conspiracy of CERN. Also, the CERN mascot is the Hindu goddess Shiva, the goddess of destruction, the destroyer of worlds, which is not exactly what you want for your mascot for a particle collider. And they even have a huge gold statue of Shiva out in front of the facility.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're just playing right into that. You're going to destroy the world.
Right.
They're totally...
You're right.
Probably,
You're right.
yeah.
That is a great... If they're not Satanists, then they definitely have a great sense of humor for making this their mascot. So there's a picture of Shiva. And then, to top it all off, there's video service of certain employees performing satanic rites. Now, instead of outright denying this whole thing, this is the weird part, right? A spokesperson for CERN said the employees were just goofing off. When they didn't deny that was their employees. I would have, first, if I was CERN, I'd be like, yeah, I don't even know what the hell that is. That someone made that up, right?
Yeah.
But no, they came out and said, yeah, it's our guys. They were just goofing off.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I would do that if I worked at CERN.
I would too.
But there's a reason I don't work at CERN. So,
Lack of a doctorate.
Yeah.
That's true. That, you know, although I did spend enough time in college to get a doctorate, just when they said they
Just
gave
to
me a
put that
BA. All right, so yeah, that is a little weird, though. You got to admit.
Yeah.
A videotape servicing of CERN employees performing satanic rituals at CERN.
Right.
Now, but when did the video come out? Did it come out after this conspiracy first reared its head, and then they're just playing into it?
It could
going,
be. Absolutely, it could be. But that's kind of a weird sense of humor for someone who works at CERN.
True.
Just saying. So, yeah, there's out of all the theories on what causes this, that's the craziest. Satanic conspiracy at CERN. But most of the theories revolve around CERN.
Yeah.
Right? Have you heard anything other than like the CERN particles colliding, or, I mean, obviously time travel one is kind of weird.
I love the parallel universe theory. I know it's way out there, but I've always been
That's actually the most
keen to believe
probable of all the
Right.
theories, because the multi-universe theory is
Right.
multiverse theory.
How is it difficult to believe that there are I don't know, just science has proved that there's an unlimited amount of timelines, universes, whatever out there, or there has to be mathematically. So how difficult would it be to believe that they overlap at times, right?
Right, and that's one of the theories is that the multiverse theory is that they'll come in contact with each other and then there'll be slight changes or whatever because of the thinning of the wall between the worlds or whatever. I don't know. Do any of these theories sound, well, I mean, obviously some are way crazy, but clearly the time travel one is probably the best one. So the looper thing going.
That's awesome.
I like that idea
Then
too.
someone come back and screwed something up.
Right.
And then every other change is something he's trying to correct it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into some of the examples of what people have noticed differently.
Right.
So let's start off with some of the more explainable ones, like the logos, logos and branding. First off, JCPenney. Do you remember the spelling of JCPenney, Doug?
Nope. Never paid attention.
Never paid any attention to this? Neither did I. But
I assume it's with just a Y, but that's just because that makes more sense.
It makes more sense,
not because I've actually seen that or remember seeing it on their billing.
Yeah. Yes. Now the only other proof I could find of this is that they had a like a coupon card back in the day. It was like a penny pincher card for JCPenney, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was spelled that way, but it's actually with the EY at the end. So that is how it is actually spelled. And to be honest with you, jump into this. This is a big one for a lot of people. I remember JCPenney. I don't remember paying any attention to the logo.
Right.
So this has for me, it has nothing.
I saw we print out the script for this with a list of logos, and I'm looking at all of them going, yeah, I don't remember any of the specifics on those. I could have seen a Coke can yesterday, and I wouldn't remember which one's the correct one.
Yeah. I don't know. Yes, I've always remembered the Coca-Cola with the hyphen. So there's like a Coke switch between the two. Apparently it doesn't, But I mean, looking back,
Does it really have Coca-Cola?
Coke. No, it's not Coca-Cola.
Okay, thank God.
It's Coca-Cola, but it's Coca-Cola without the hyphen.
Okay.
There's
It's without.
a lot of people remember it with COKE, but that's not.
I don't.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. I mean, I wouldn't even say this is Mandela Effect. This is it's too specific in the. I never really paid that much attention to it kind of thing.
And who did?
And I'm making a guess at this, not that I specifically remembering it be with just a Y.
Right.
Now, I agree for most of these. Some of them, though, you're like, wait, I know it was this way.
Right.
I remember it this way. Could be just, like, let's look at the Looney Tunes logo. All right, so Looney Tunes, I always assumed it was Tunes, Toon.
Right.
Right? Like there was a Tunes role-playing game based on this, it was Toon.
See, and that's probably why because as a kid, you probably never paid attention to how it was spelled. It was just Looney Tunes.
Right.
And then you play a Tunes role-playing game, and then you see Tiny Toons with it spelled with two O's, and you go, oh yeah, I'm sure that was the way it was then.
So why, because Tiny Toons is spelled Toon.
Yeah.
Well, Tunes, Tunes, really doesn't make any sense to you?
Well, it's a gramophone.
I guess
that he
true.
pops out of.
See, look at that. That's why we got Doug for this.
I mean, I also would have pegged the two O's,
right,
but not because I specifically remember it that way, just because that seemed to make more sense.
Right.
And when that's where you come into the idea of, and I mean, I may be jumping the gun here, but the idea of confirmation bias.
Sure.
You're remembering what you think is most logical.
Right.
Right.
Not because, I mean, that doesn't explain the specific, when people get uber specific and go, yeah, I'm the same way.
Right.
Although culturally you may have those tendencies as well.
Sure.
Because, for example, the Nelson Mandela, how many people in Africa remember him dying in the 80s? Probably nobody.
Yeah.
Because they're not removed like we are from it, and it's just like, yeah, he was out of the spotlight for years, so we just assumed he was dead.
Right.
And
Doug,
then
clearly they're from that universe. I'm just saying.
They're from the correct
They're
dimension.
from the correct dimension. All right, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. You remember what?
No, it's a stupid little aside. My ex-wife worked on a play where the guy insisted in character in that he memorized his lines, but he misremembered this, and he was calling it Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. He's from another dimension where it was said the extra A in there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. This one, again, I assumed it was.
I delivered from them 2 days ago, and I couldn't tell you.
And I couldn't tell you which one it is. Yeah, a lot of these are just like, okay, I don't know which one. I didn't pay that much attention to stuff. Now, Fruit Loops. This one and the GIF is what gets me.
Yeah.
Now, Fruit Loops, I always remembered which way is right, the two O's or the Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops.
I think so.
Okay. I always remembered it with the two O's because, it had the cereal for the O's.
Right.
So that's how I remember.
And you just remembered there's two O's
There's
here.
two
so
O's there. It must be
right.
up there. Exactly. Now that could be totally. I was doing that, but I mean, I was remember looking. It just doesn't look right. That spelled out fruit. It doesn't look right. But this one that gets me. This I remember a lot. Jiffy peanut butter, right? I remember Jiffy peanut butter.
Yeah.
Specifically, that was the peanut butter that we had in our house. It was Jiffy. It was never called Jiffy Peanut Butter.
That's wrong.
It's Jif.
It's not Jif. That is not Jif.
See,
That is not Jif.
when one of these hits you like that,
What
that's how
is
you
that?
react. That you're like, wait, that is not right. See,
That's not even the right font. What is that?
that's the actual.
It's not.
It's not. Mandela Effect, right there. Yes, that one. This one does mess with me. I remember Jiffy, but apparently it was never Jiffy.
Jiffy Lube.
Jif. Now,
In
this is
the
one that's
Jiffy.
not on here yet, but do you know that we all remember? This is a little side. Publishers Clearinghouse in the '80s that Ed McMahon was a spokesperson for him.
Mm-hmm.
He never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. He never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse.
Interesting.
You remember him? You remember him? The commercials, him showing up with a big check at the door.
Right.
Yeah, it was even like there was even jokes about like remember Ed McMahon showing up at my house or whatever with a big
Right.
I remember that specifically. I mean, you're probably too young to remember that, but
No, yeah.
yeah, or even who Ed McMahon is.
So who was it?
I don't know. Ed McMahon never was a spokesperson for Publishers Clearinghouse. So, yeah, that one messes with me too, but not as much
The
as
biggest one.
as the biggest one that messes with me.
Hate this one. Makes me angry every time I see it.
It does. Yeah, let me see. We got a good picture here of a children's book from back in the day, and the cartoon, and the song, the Berenstain Bears, or Berenstain Bears is what it is now.
I honestly wouldn't have remembered.
You wouldn't
which it
remember?
was.
See, this would mess with me more than any of the other ones, right? Because I had kids. We had Berenstain Bear books, and even when you hear the song, the Berenstain Bear song sounds wrong.
Right.
It sounds wrong. Like when it says
Right.
the Berenstain Bears, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Now, probably because Berenstein is probably a more common name than Berenstain, but this one just sends all the wrong signals for me because having kids, having read them Berenstain Bear books, my kids remember them Berenstain Bears.
Uh-huh.
You know,
So correct? They remember.
they
correctly?
remember them the wrong way.
Oh, they
same as
remember
me.
the wrong way. Interesting.
So like my son, this messes with him every time because he was
Yeah.
a big Berenstain
Right.
Bears fan, and he watched the cartoon all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "That's not right. That's not right."
How many times is it said inside the book versus just on the cover?
It's on the cover and on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, I
it's
mean,
not-
in the course of the story, do they actually say their
I don't
name?
think they actually mention
Yeah.
the name in the story.
Because just saying Bernstein Bears makes more, vocal audio sense because that's how many people have you heard named Stain versus
Right, yeah.
something Stein? I'm all that's a more common name, so that's
Right.
how I pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's just that we also watched the cartoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the cartoon, they got the catchy song with it, right? And that's what gets me, is that, Leanne Womack sings a song, I'm a fan of her music,
Listening, yeah.
and just listening to it, it just sounds wrong.
Right.
I'm like, that's not right. It's like me and Jiffy too. I'm like, I agree. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Okay, so, yeah, that one messed with me. Okay, so there are some media examples as well, not just logos. Because logos, like I said, a lot of them can be explained away. Pretty much all of them can be explained away with us misremembering stuff. But there's a lot of stuff here that really some of these mess with me. Like, "We Are the Champions." The "We Are the Champions" song from Queen. The last line of it.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how the last line goes?
No.
We are the champions of the world,
Yeah.
right? The "of the world" part is not in the song. It's not
No.
part of the song. It doesn't end that way.
It does.
Now, there's even video. This is our first video clip of the carpool karaoke. A bunch of celebrities singing this. When the song ends, they're all sitting there going like, "What?" Waiting for the "of the world" part, and then I think even George Clooney sings "of the world," right? And it's not there. And they're like, "Wait a minute, that's not how the song ends." That's another thing. Every once in a while they'll say, we'll get to a big one here at the end, but there's some remnants, because usually when these changes happen, according to the Mandela Effect theorists, that when it happens, all evidence has changed, right? So I can't go back and find a Berenstein book
Right.
anywhere, a
Right.
Bear book. All the books have been
Right.
changed. Everything's been changed. But every once in a while, there'll be some what they call remnant of whatever the whole universe or whatever it is
Uh-huh.
that's here is proof, and that's what they're saying. Like this clip is. So we will pull this clip up real quick here. 2-minute mark. All right.
That's really rough, man.
My thoughts.
Yeah.
That's really rough, man.
That's really rough, man. Yeah, George Clooney's the best. He belted it out. He didn't care. He's like, he remembers it. He's from the old universe. I'm a big Queen fan, right? I remember that way, right?
Yep.
Of the world. Obviously, all those celebs in that
Right.
car did too. Now, a lot of these things, I would buy a lot of these things if they would just said, oh yeah, it was changed, or there was a version of it back here.
Sure.
But a lot of it, especially when we're getting into the deeper stuff, this is all the stuff we're starting off with the stuff that can be explained away easily, and then getting deeper into the stuff.
Right.
Sure.
And a lot of the stuff that you're like, okay, how is that? Why didn't they just say it changed? But some don't. They all say this is how it is. This is how
Right.
it's always been for a lot of these things. So like
Right.
all the examples we got here, I'm saying that's how it is. So odd. All right, this one messes with me. C-3PO had a silver leg through the entire series. Do you remember that, Doug?
Yeah, I remember that people. I don't specifically remember that, but I believe it.
I remember people saying this.
Yes, I remember people saying it.
and
but I
I've
don't-
seen people bring it up before when they're like, "Why are people complaining about the red arm? He had a mismatched leg."
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't ever
I
remember.
do
him having a
not
silver
believe
leg.
the toy had the. I think the
I
toy
don't
was
think
I
solid
don't think the toy
gold.
did either.
I don't
I'm
believe the
pretty
toy
sure the toy
showed
did
it.
not. But here the thing is, I've seen this movie so many times.
How often do you play details like that?
Yeah.
I guess, but it just looks
He's
odd.
in enough stuff though that you should like.
But you should have known.
Right.
I mean, you look at the picture here, and like some of the other ones, you're like, that's where it's like really it's more prevalent.
Yeah,
Especially
this
when he's
one
out in the
is
sun.
not even- it's not
yeah.
that pronounced,
When he's out in
yeah.
the desert, though,
Yeah.
it totally looks silver
Yeah.
in images. And you're like, how did you miss that?
Right.
Like, all right, I'm not saying that this is, I don't remember the silver leg, and it looks odd when you see it.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, especially when it's brighter in the sunlight, you're like, how did I miss this?
Right.
Right? I mean, I don't know how I would see
Yeah.
that and not notice the silver leg. Another one that I have on here, though, that really messed with me is in Star Trek, Picard had a crystal on his desk that he'd talk with. In fact, he'd even point with it when he talked. I don't ever remember the crystal. I watched the hell out of Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one to. It's a minor detail that adds nothing to the story, so it's really easy to just delete it from your memory.
Like, yeah,
It doesn't-
I had to have deleted it from my memory because it looks odd. When I see clips, and after it's been pointed out and I see it, I'm like, okay, that's odd. All right. Forrest Gump. Life was like a box of chocolates. Actually, I remember life is like a box of chocolates. In fact, that makes more sense grammatically. Although, he's a slow kid, so you don't have to make sense grammatically.
Right.
But, yeah, I remember it as life is like a box of chocolates, as
Yeah.
to most people. And the clip was actually life was like a box of chocolates, is what he said in the movie.
I don't remember him. I mean, I remember him saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the specific verbiage. He was talking in flashback because he was at the end of the movie talking about the beginning, so it makes
Right.
sense.
I guess so.
Well,
But
he
this
was,
is easily one of those ones that, one, he's talking with a slurred Southern accent,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
as soon as one person says it wrong, it spreads like wildfire,
Right.
and
yes,
then
that's what you remember.
that's what you remember, not what he actually said.
Okay. But none of these mess with me more than this one. All right. The Snow White magic mirror scene,
Yeah.
right? The mirror on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's magic mirror on
it's
the wall.
magic mirror on the wall from the
I
thing.
don't remember that.
It doesn't even sound right. I'm going to show you the clip.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound right. Let's skip ahead to the...
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Yeah. It doesn't even sound right. That's one of those ones that you're like, okay, it's magic mirror. Magic mirror, this can't be magic mirror. It's mirror, mirror. That's how it was.
I remember the magic mirror on the wall, but that's one of those ones that you watch this movie as a kid,
Yeah.
and it's very likely that somebody remembered the line wrong, and then they go around saying it all the time.
Yeah, but everybody says it like it's
Mirror.
mirror, mirror on the wall. Everyone quotes it as mirror, mirror on the wall, right?
Right.
What about you? How does that sound to you?
It doesn't sound right. And to like go up against what you're saying, it very easily could have been spread around magic mirror on the wall. Why wasn't that spread around and remembered more?
Yeah. I mean,
Because I don't know, just the repetition is easier for kids to remember.
Could be.
But
in Grimm, it's mirror, mirror. It's not magic mirror.
yeah,
So Disney
specifically changed
changed it.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I mean,
Well.
if if you don't believe in the Mandela Effect, you got to believe that Disney purposely changed that line
Sure.
from Grimm.
Yeah.
So
Well, Disney purposely changed just about everything
Yeah.
from Grimm, so
That's true.
I
That's
can
true.
totally believe that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that seems like a weird detail to change though. A lot of things you pretty much have to change from Grimm in order to make it a
Right.
Yeah.
children's story.
Appropriate.
Yeah, but all right. Now we're getting into some of the weirder ones here with some of the weirder physical proof that's left behind. So geography is one of the things that people say has changed, right? There's been a lot of changes in geography. One of the big ones that messes with a lot of people, and not just in this country, is the position of Sri Lanka, the island off the coast of India, basically. Now, most people, even people in Asia, remember it being south of India and not east of India, right? And there's maps that exist with it south of India. Now, as I say, the maps aren't wrong, but they're not all. And it could be a situation where there's a lot of old maps that have it south, right? So this is the correct location. Southeast.
So it is kind of
kind of
It
south.
is. Yeah.
it is south and east of it.
South, yeah, southeast.
Well, and that's not even the shape that a lot of people use on maps. They turn it sideways and make it more
Yeah,
lozenge shaped.
yeah. See, that's where
which-
it is. That's where it is right now.
Yeah.
There, but most people, well, not most people, I guess, but people that there's quite a few people that remember it here, south of the tip of India. So, and where it's actually over here. But, and there's a lot of old maps. And well, this could be attributed to a lot of old.
Well, and they changed the style of how maps are put together
Right.
so
That's
that
true.
they, more correctly account for the curvature of the earth.
Right.
Yeah.
So it does change the position where something was on the map, where
Yeah.
you're like, oh wow, I had no idea that would have been there.
Yeah, this is one of those things. Now, this is the least one. This is the one that has the most people remembering it wrong. But this is the least for me out of all the geographical ones because, like you said, if you ever watched that famous clip from West Wing, they talk about the shape, the actual shape of the continents, and as opposed to what we see on a map,
Right.
Right.
and just like weird stuff like Reno is further west than LA. When you actually look at when you flatten out a map, take it off a globe,
Oh,
flatten
right.
it out.
Well,
It's actually further west. It's one of those weird map things, right? So this one doesn't bother me as much because, like I said, it's not that huge a change. I mean, it is if you look at
Right.
miles, but I mean,
right.
where we draw maps. But some of these mess with me. Now, this one, I don't. A lot of people remember 52 states instead of 50. I chalk that up to ignorance.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't ever remember
How?
52 states.
Well, we were taught 52 because of Cuba and
You mean Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico and-
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia,
Yeah,
I guess.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
Philippines.
We were
Guam.
taught, in which case, like we were taught 50 states, but everyone was like
It's 52.
but 52.
Yeah.
You've got these other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then it should be like 55.
Yeah, those should be like,
Right.
totally should be like
I think
55.
55.
But yeah, those are actual states. So I don't ever remember this, but apparently this is another big one. I went by order of what most people remember.
Yeah.
So a lot of people remember, but then there's a lot of ignorant people. So all right, now this one messes with me a little bit. Landmass west of Australia, and this chalked this up to New Zealand. Saying a lot of people remember New Zealand on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to bring up that map I just showed you a minute ago.
Okay.
Where they have New Zealand on the opposite side of Australia than where it should be.
Wrong. What?
Well, yeah, of course it's wrong because that's
Yeah.
we know what reality is right now. But there's a lot of maps. There's a lot of maps that have New Zealand on the west coast of Australia instead of the east coast of Australia, and some of them even have a larger landmass on the west coast of Australia, including several globes that were made it into movies. And people say, well, it might be like a messed up prop that ended up in a lot of movies. Well, it's different globes in different movies. So there was a lot of different globes that were printed wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
The most prominent one is Dazed and Confused because they actually spin the globe and stop it in the movie. That's why you get the best look of it. There's a lot of them, you can see it, there's a lot of movie clips. In fact, there's a whole list of them that have these different globes with this in different places. But here is the one from Dazed and Confused. It actually has a landmass west of Australia in this.
And I mean, definitely not Antarctica.
That's definitely not Antarctica. Yeah, that's when I first heard about this, I assumed that was like Antarctica and the globe was tilted slightly or whatever,
Yeah, well,
But that is definitely not. You can see the water all the way around the landmass.
Sure.
Right.
So this is one of those things where they're saying it's leftover physical evidence. Yeah, and Sherlock. Yeah, exactly. Check out Sherlock. It's got the right one. So
map
Now-
makers sucked back in the day.
yeah,
mean,
in the 80s when this.
It's been something that, like, there's a whole documentary on it, like how, like, maps are just impossible to make, and, like, cartographers have been, like, debating for years what the best way to put on a map.
I agree, and especially with something like Sri Lanka, this is a little different because that is a massive landmass.
Yeah.
That is like almost half the size of Australia there.
Like, how do you miss it?
How do you miss that?
How do you print that?
How do you print that?
Or go, well, we already printed it, ship it out. It doesn't.
Now, a lot of people would say, like, okay, it would be, if it was on several globes in several movies, that it was the same prop or the same printing company made the prop wrong. However, there's several different globes, and one of the movies is on a map in the background, too. Now, they might use the same printer who got the same messed up thing, but how did that get messed up? I mean, that just, plagiarism.
Map makers plagiarizing.
All right, now, the one, bring it all down, the one that messes with me the most is our location in the galaxy. Now, I was always taught growing up that we were in an outer spiral arm of the galaxy, right? We're in the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. Now, obviously, things change. We get more information.
Sure.
We get better maps of the galaxy the more information we get. And I would be perfectly fine if they said, oh yeah, we just updated the galaxy map and we know better where we're at now in the galaxy.
Right.
But they don't say that. They say, according to
It's
NASA,
always been that.
it's always been in the Orion Spur, which is in the middle. It's between two arms, towards closer to the middle of the galaxy.
Okay.
Well, closer to the middle, right in the middle between the outer arm and the inner galaxy, right? So and I'll show you on a map here, and then I'll show you a clip of Carl Sagan from the 80s pointing out where we are in the galaxy. Now, so this is where I was always taught we're in the outer spiral arm, the Sagittarius arm, but we're actually on the Orion Spur between two arms, about halfway between the center of the galaxy and the edge of the galaxy, according to NASA right now. All right.
Notice those are significantly different maps of the solar system.
Right, they are.
I mean, of the galaxy.
Of the galaxy, yeah. But I mean, but the arms are still named. I mean, they're still. This is still the Sagittarius arm. Just we have more detailed.
Right.
The one's more detailed, one's not. But still, there's even like the universe song from Monty Python where we're talking about we're an outer spiral arm. So.
What we've learned here is don't take your astronomy from Monty
Python doesn't know where we are in the galaxy. But does that mean Carl Sagan doesn't know where we are in the galaxy? Because I have a clip here that's Carl Sagan saying, where we are. Let's take a look at this. Pause that. Let's get to the 1:30 mark. Start it right at to 130 so we can sync this up correctly. All right.
It would look like that picture. And if we did look down the Milky Way galaxy, where would the sun and nearby stars be? Would it be in the center where things look important or at least well lit? No. We would be way out here in the suburbs, in the countryside of the galaxy. We're not in any important place. All the stars you could see would be in a little place like that. And the Milky Way would be this band of light.
So, there we got.
So though he pointed and said those you would see these stars and stuff like that, he didn't actually ever say we're on the Sagittarius arm.
No,
he
He
did
did
not.
point it outside though, as opposed to towards the inside.
But he is pointed nowhere near where NASA
Also-
says we are now.
I don't know how different those models are. There were definitely fewer spiral arms
Yeah.
on that map
Sure.
than on the map that you were pointing to. That
Yeah, because we have better maps, but the main spiral arms are still there, right? So for the old one, so but they're still named. We know what they're named. We were always on the Sagittarius arm, and now we're on the Orion Spur, according to NASA. So, what does that mean? We got it wrong. We remember it wrong. If we remembered it wrong, then Carl Sagan remembered it wrong. You know, Monty Python remembered it wrong. I'm just saying, like, this is totally something I would buy if they just said, yeah, we got better data now.
Right.
Now we know where we are better.
Right.
But, you know, they don't. Now, why is that? Now, is that what's more believable that they're, you know, hiding that detail for some reason, or that we actually moved in the galaxy?
Right.
But that one messes with me a little bit because I was always taught that, right? And also, we're still listed on NASA's children's learning site, on their own website, still listed as in the Sagittarius arm, on that. Not on their main part, but on the children's, well, for kids. If you go to the NASA website right now, it's like the 14, you know, 14 and under, like, website, whatever.
Yeah.
Link on there. It goes, we're listed as on the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. So, what is it, NASA? Come on. Sending mixed signals.
Tell us the truth.
Now, all this gets down to, right, so some of this physical proof is like, all right, well, Carl Sagan could have got it wrong,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. The one that has the most overwhelming amount of physical proof is the statue, The Thinker by Rodin. I was going to say Rodin. That's a Godzilla bad guy. But so the Thinker, we'll bring up a picture of him, show you what he looks like here. Doug remembers him this way. I do not, because my mom had like a little knockoff statue of him when I was younger. But then again, it could have been a knockoff statue that was wrong, right? So you see him thinking like this.
Well,
picture.
and if you look at this picture, it looks like it's a fist,
Right.
not an open
But it's
hand
not.
until you get up close.
If you get up close, it's
you
got an
can't
open
tell if
hand.
it's actually an open hand.
Open hand under the chin. A lot of people remember him doing like the Tebow, where he's got like his head down with a fist on the forehead, right? Now, there is some of the proof we got here. We'll start with some of the weakest here. All right, so we got Thinker replicas, right? Even in the description, it's got with his fist to his forehead.
Although that model is not putting his fist to his forehead.
No, it's not. The model is of the actual
Yeah.
statue, but in the description he's got the fist on the forehead. Now, there's several examples in literature that describe the statue, right? So, from Language and Use, upper intermediate teacher's book, is basically talks about the quote is, "This is a sculpture of the man sitting with his forehead supported by his fist, lost in thought," talking about the statue of Thinker, right? In the book, The Artist as Art, there's a quote saying, "It appears," is wrote in, "showed himself in the right profile, naked, crouching, his left hand to his forehead, his right hand by his side," or whatever. So, again, a novel by Ralph Milton. "I put my right hand across my forehead and my right elbow on my right knee. I got the idea from a sculpture by August Rodin called The Thinker." Right? So several different places where it's stuck. And from a nonfiction book, Homeland Security Principles, Planning and Procedures, the Thinker pose, elbow on the knee, fist on the forehead, means the person is probably faking paying attention. It's basically a line out of that book, basically. But I mean, that's probably one of the weaker ones. But
I'll go so far as to say those are all pretty weak.
I think they're all pretty weak.
Yeah.
They're describing. These are art books describing a sculpture.
One art book, a teacher's English book, and a novel.
Yeah.
All
This
that
one,
has
the artist
to
as art is a is a
all
book.
it takes is people being too lazy to go check the source than just going off of their memory, and you've screwed this all up.
Right.
All right.
So,
What about from the sculptor himself? What about from the artist's words himself? Let's see a quote from August Rodin himself.
okay.
What makes my thinker think is that he thinks not only with his brains, with his knitted brow, his distended nostrils, his compressed lips, but with every muscle in his arms, back, legs, with his clenched fists and gripping toes.
Go back to the image.
Now, we could get a better image from the side. He doesn't have a clenched fist. He's got an open hand. This is just a...
No. Look at his other hand.
His other hand's not clenched either.
Is it open?
They're both open. So the artist himself describes his own work as having a clenched fist. Clearly, he does not now. And also for, I do have an image here I'm going to put up. This is Robert Shaw. He was a model for Rodin, and he posed for the Thinker model himself. He has. This is the picture that was released the night the sculpture was revealed. Of in the Thinker pose, right? He's clearly got his hand, his fist, his forehead. Now, Doug pointed out there is an image of the same of him
Of Shaw
with the other
in
pose,
the actual Thinker.
in the other Thinker pose, but that was from he later on after this he did an art book where he basically posed naked in different as different sculptures or whatever, which came out about 8 years after the unveiling.
Right.
Could these images have gotten mixed up? That's possible, I suppose.
Yeah.
But we have, I mean, this is what the one that they're saying came out.
I don't even remember it in metal. I remember the Thinker being in like marble.
Marble? Yeah, it's bronze. It's a bronze.
I don't remember that at all.
No, the statue that my mom had looked like marble. That, right?
Is there another, like in the Vatican? I thought there was something that looked similar to that in the Vatican.
There's only one Thinker. That's,
yeah, but in a Thinker-ish pose, yeah?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's a pious pose where somebody's kneeling, but
Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look into that one.
I don't know. This
I don't
one has
remember that.
probably the most amount of.
Try looking. Well, not now,
Yeah.
obviously. but
We'll have
try
to look at
looking
it.
for poses of Greek philosophers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see if you have
Yeah,
a Greek
I think-
philosopher who's actually doing that.
I
Doing
think
that.
there is. I don't remember.
It might be. But that's a lot of people getting this wrong,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm just saying that's a lot of different people. Even the artist himself. This is probably one of the most compelling pieces, if not to the pose for.
It'd be interesting to find out when that quote was from,
Yeah.
because he could have been basing that quote off of his initial concept sketches,
Right.
and then when he saw him in different poses, go, nope, I'm going with that one.
Right. Could be.
Could be. Well, he's talking about his work like it's already done.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. You're right. I don't know when that quote was from.
Maybe
but
it was done within his mind's eye.
that's true. Now, so far, Doug, have we said anything out here that could, in any way, could be plausible?
All of this to me comes down to the idea of confirmation bias and just hearing secondhand information that was incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're just predisposed to think of stuff a certain way or not think about it at all, and then just filling in the blanks going, yeah, it must have been this.
Right.
It must have been that. It makes more sense for this.
All right. So, all right. Explanations aside, does any of these examples mess with you at all?
I'm trying to remember. I think there was one that I was kind of like, wait, I thought it was that way too, but I don't remember which one it was. Probably the life is like a box of chocolates I most identify with.
Yeah.
I do remember the Monty Python song about the Sagittarius arm, but otherwise, honestly, in all of the astronomy classes I took and was a TA for, I don't remember that ever being talked about.
Sure.
So it's not anything I ever really put a lot of sense in, or kind of.
The Carl Sagan part doesn't matter to you at all?
No, because he's acting very vague, never says we're actually there when he's
Sure.
talking. He just says, "Oh, you'd be able to see
We'd
that."
be over here.
And he's also using the old model apparently,
Yeah.
where the spiral arms are pointed a different direction and there's fewer of them.
Yeah.
So it's entirely plausible that back then that was the place they thought it was,
Right.
and just NASA never really recorded it before then until
Sure.
Right. Right. Like I said, that's something I would totally, go, all right, yeah, if they just said, we used to think this.
Right.
And
it's
now we know
interesting
this.
that they're two totally different models. Not
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
are there more arms, they're spinning a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of like, well,
if
that's
you look back at
weird.
old maps of the galaxy, all the arms are spinning in the opposite direction. And new maps of the galaxy,
It makes me curious as to, well, when did that come about?
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did
when
they
what
decide-
made them decide
Yeah.
that they were different?
exactly.
But that's just science changes.
What about you? Does any of these really mess with you?
A lot of them do mess with me, but I also know, like, as Doug has pointed out, like, as a kid, you don't remember things clearly.
Right.
You remember what you want to remember, and when someone says, yeah, that's how it was, you're like, yeah, that's how it was.
That's how it was, how I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the Galaxy one's kind of messes with me. The Mirror one definitely messes with me. Jif peanut butter,
Yeah.
because I'm Jiffy. I always call it
Bothers
Jiffy.
me.
Yeah, it bothers
Yeah.
me a lot. Okay, so what are the scientists that have delved into this think is going on here? Scientists. Yeah, because no reputable scientist actually takes this seriously. When it comes to the Mandela Effect, many examples are attributed to the schema-driven errors. Schemas are organized packets of knowledge at direct memory. In this way, schemas facilitate understanding of material but can produce distortion. Like our brain remembers. It fills in the blank a lot.
Right.
Researchers found that listeners omit unfamiliar details and transform information to make it more understandable.
Right.
It's called, effort and meaning. Basically, when researchers were asked to describe a psychologist's office, they remember stuff that were more permanent, like bookshelves and
Right.
desks, and omitted stuff that wasn't, like picnic baskets or stuff that was temporary, right?
Or didn't fit with what you would think
Right.
a psychologist's office would
Think
have
or
these
expect.
things in
Right.
it.
Yeah.
If they put something out of the ordinary in there, their mind would just
Sure.
skip over it, right? All right, yeah. So, is it just mass misremembering things? Obviously, the human mind is fallible. Eyewitness reports are very inaccurate.
Right.
Where our brain fills in the blanks a lot of the time. A lot of what reality we see is not actual reality. It's what
Right.
our brain thinks. Like if you look from here to there, your brain sees that, and then fills in the
The
blank,
gaps between
and it
them.
fills in the gaps. Like if they've noticed that, if you look from one side to the other, it's from your peripheral vision, from stuff that you remember is there,
Right.
and your brain just fills in the gaps,
Ah,
right?
got it. Okay.
But what scientists can explain, what is not clear, is why so many people share the same false memories with the same level of details. This is something they can't explain. So they can explain all day long about false memories and stuff
Right.
like that, confirmation bias, but the level of detail that they have, usually there's not, people misremember stuff all the time, but usually not to this level.
Right.
So some theorize that social media and how we're more connected nowadays is the reason behind this. But if that's the case, that's another thing that they look into, that we're able to, I don't know, there's also the shared consciousness theory,
Right.
which is part of a whole other story you want to
Sure.
delve into, because they can measure this, and
Right.
we've had events in the world have had effect with the shared consciousness
Yeah.
because of social media and the ability to share information. So yeah, I mean that's just it. They haven't fully explained, like, okay, if it is all false memories, how are we all misremembering stuff the same
Yeah.
way?
I mean, you can narrow down a lot of it.
Yeah,
You
most
can
of
point
it,
to-
90% of all this stuff is you can just
even
someone
the-
said it that
even
way
the
or
big
makes sense.
stuff that you're like, wow, that's so many people remembering
Right.
it. You can go, well, there's some cultural aspects that are going to factor into that,
Yeah.
because it's only people in the Western world who remember this versus people in the East didn't have that effect,
Right.
or things like that. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's not
I'd be
necessarily
curious to know if there were versions like Mandela-like effects that happened over in the East, like
that we're in Africa or Asia wide
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
like
right,
everybody-
like they all thought that
Probably
Obama
not,
died or something.
because they're less connected.
Sure.
Yeah, they're less
They
socially
don't.
connected.
So many of them don't have the same access to information
Right.
that we do.
Yeah.
So anything that was like we misremembered it. Well, we misremembered it because the one guy who has a radio got the detail wrong
Right.
or
Right,
something like
yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
obviously in bigger cities it's different. So you might be able to go, well, how about people in Beijing?
Right.
Right,
We've
yeah.
got millions of people there. Do they all misremember something? Or-
Right, yeah.
I don't know. Again, that would take people of serious credibility being interested in finding
Interested in
out
finding
it out,
what is.
exactly.
Right.
Like,
I'm saying there's enough of something going on here that I think it's more than just, or even if it is mass misremembering, I think that's something worth investigating as well.
Mm-hmm.
Why are so many people misremembering the same
brain
details?
research and
Brain research.
psychology,
Yeah.
psychological stuff.
I personally think there's enough there for someone to do some kind of research
Right.
into it. But there we have it. I don't think we've convinced Doug of anything here.
There's
Still
no
skeptic.
cascading realities colliding with each other or anything like that.
Well, it's a
No
cool
time
idea.
travelers. Yeah. I don't know.
I
maybe
think
for
if
maybe for a
anything-
TV show,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really cool.
something.
I think if
where they jump
anything-
through a portal and go to weird different versions of the Earth.
Wow.
If there was a show like that. Here's something like that might get a revival soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, John Rhys Davis and
Nice.
the main kid.
Whose name I can't remember.
I can't remember. They're both talking about a revival, a Sliders revival. So.
That's cool.
At any rate, I think that it's fun to believe in this stuff. It may not be realistic to believe in, but it's fun to think that maybe there are alternative universes that are clashing with us, or maybe the Hadron Collider is making these big or these tiny black holes, and they are affecting us.
Right.
It's fun to believe it.
I believe in a lot of those things, like the multiverse theory
Sure.
and stuff like that. Whether this is proof of it or
Right.
not, I'm not convinced of that. But
Yeah.
the emotion you get from these is real. Like
Yeah.
some of them, like the gut punch you get from
Right.
like what you
know.
is true
Yeah.
turned out to not be true.
Right.
It's still, it gets to you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of that is driving this is the emotion. That same feeling, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
your reality is like you're being told what you know is not true.
Right.
That's going to mess with anybody, and of course they're going to look for, as human nature, to look for reasons
Yeah.
why it's
yeah.
not the same. So, all right, guys. So can we say this one is pretty much? Doug's not convinced.
Yeah.
I'm not really convinced of the Mandela Effect either. However, some of the stuff is something's going on enough that we should.
It's
investigate.
intriguing, but
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything sinister.
No.
yeah.
No
Wow,
certain
yeah,
sickness.
there's some weird things that go on with our brains and
Yeah.
how they work. I
Right.
believe that.
Yes.
We don't understand the brain
Yeah.
completely.
That's true.
So
All right, guys. What do you think of the Mandela Effect? Have any big examples that we missed? I know there's a ton of examples out
Yeah.
there, but are there any big ones we missed, or any that really messed with you? If you've studied the Mandela Effect, which effects really bother you the most? If you believe, let us know, because we need to convince this guy that stuff this happens.
well, on the same vein, if you have one that you want us to look at in this
Yeah.
new show,
Yeah.
That's true.
comment about that down
Conspiracy,
below.
weird things, anything at all.
UFOs, Bigfoot, anything like that, we will definitely visit this again. We're going to kind of rotate this show in with our
Yeah.
Grizzled Weeb, and
It will
does it
probably
hold up?
it takes a little longer to put together because
Yeah.
you kind of, if you don't know the conspiracy already,
Yeah.
or
You gotta look
whatever
it
it is, you
up
kinda
and then
gotta
get
look it up
pictures and
yeah.
videos
Yeah.
and things like that. Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Like I said, leave comments down below. And if you want to support us in this channel and things that we do here, you can do so a number of ways.
Teespring store,
Teespring store, buy our merch,
Amazon affiliate link,
buy your own merch.
yeah, which we get a kickback from, or visit us on Patreon and support us there.
And just give us money.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.